what you guys are looking at is one of the tutorials that I did in which we added Google Maps to a Next.js project, as you can see right here. If you guys haven't watched that, I would highly recommend it to watch that and then come back to this tutorial. I'll also put a link in the description just in case. But essentially, just for those who don't know, what we did is we added Google Maps to this Next.js project. We were able to add a marker, and then we were also able to add the GPS coordinates. So it was a very fun project. But now in this tutorial, I'm going to take this a step further, and we are going to basically not only show Google Maps, but I have changed the code a bit, which is a bit more efficient. And then also we're going to add, see how we can use the Places API and the new Places API. So this is a new, I guess, API from Google. It's has a lot of improvements, and we're going to see how we can use that. And this will help us to do things like autocomplete. So when you type in an address, it's going to actually show you suggestions. I'm going to show you guys how we can actually limit to a certain country, even to a certain province, or a certain geo codes or GPS coordinates. So that way you're going to save money when it comes to billing. This can be useful when somebody is trying to find, let's say, restaurants, let's say places to visit, or schools, or parking spots. So that's where it's going to be useful. Now, this is part of a bigger project that I'm working on, which is essentially finding parking spots. But we're gonna leave that for another topic. When it's released, then you guys will see it. So you guys like and subscribe so that you guys can get updated. Anyway, so now that that's out of the way, all right, so this is the project right here, and it's a work in progress, as I said, but we're going to focus on the map component, right? So I already assume you guys know how to create a Next.js project and then the pages and components and all. I don't have to explain that. Anyway, so here we have a client component. This has to be a client component because a map has to be rendered on the browser. So that's why we have to use client for that. Now, so it's very simple. We're using Tailwind CSS, so that's just the class name. Anyway, so let's go over to the package.json, and these are some of the dependencies you want to install. So I'm going to zoom in. I'm sure it's you guys can see it, but anyway, so you guys need to install this Google Maps JS API loader. That's one of the dependency you need to install. The second one then is React Google Maps API. That's the second one you need to install. So these are prod dependencies, as you can see. But then if I scroll down under dev dependencies, since we're using TypeScript, we need to install also this types dependency. So you guys can type this in. I'll put this in description so you guys can basically copy and paste. But I just want to let you guys know about that. So we're going to just zoom it at this level. All right, so the other thing we need to now do is go ahead and see how we can get the API key, first of all, and then also see how we can enable the Places and the new Places API on the Google API platform. All right, so here I have a browser, and I'm just going to type in Google Maps API like that. All right, so you're going to hit this one. So I'm going to just hit the Maps platform Google for Developers. All right, so it basically brought me here. So I'm going to do basically get started. All right, cool. So it brought me here, and as you can see, you're probably going to land on the same page. What you want to do then on the left side is this is where your APIs are. So go over to APIs and services. All right, so here's a whole bunch of APIs you will see. We don't want to scroll through all of them, but essentially what you want to do is you want to go to, let's say, maps, right? And this is where you can enable the API that you want. So there's a whole bunch of APIs here. The one you want to enable is called the Maps JavaScript API. And as you can see, I have enabled that. So go ahead and enable that one. And then you're going to come over and hit the Places API. And then here you can see that, again, there's different kind of APIs here. But the one that you want is the Places API, the one I was talking about, and the Places API new. So this is the next generation of the Places API. And this one has more actually. As you can see, this is 200 million places. This one is only 100 million. If you want to use just this one, then I would say you can disable this one. You don't need this. So once you have this enabled, then you're going to go to keys and credentials. And this is where you're going to basically, if you don't have, let's say, API key, just click on the create credentials, enter a project name, and then you can have your API key here. All right, so I have a service account here. You don't need that. That was for something else. You just need the API key. And you can always click on the show key, and this will show you the API key that you need. So you can just copy it from here, and then we're going to put it in the project. Now, one thing that a lot of people ask is, well, if I'm putting this on the project, then it's going to be, people will see it, and because we're using a use client, it's on the front end in the browser, so the API key is basically visible. True, that is correct. But you can, the way this works like this, that if I click on the API key, sorry, a key, so as you can see, you have to set restrictions. So if you do none, then of course anybody can come in, take your API key and use it and do whatever they want with it. But when you do websites, right, so then what will happen is you can then limit it to your domain. So even if I take your API key and I use it, it will not work because it'll be coming from a different domain. All right, so what I have here now is just the code on the left side and the dashboard on the right side. So now we're going to get cracking. So what I have here is two buttons. So one is a list view, kind of tile view, where people can do the stuff. So as I said, this is a project that's coming up. So if you guys you guys can like and subscribe, and you guys will see. But we're gonna focus on the map part, which is right here. So this is where the map will be shown. All right. As we can come here, and first thing I will do is we need to, when we add the map, we need to get a hold of it. So for that, the best thing is to use a state. So I will do map, set map, and we will use state. So from React, like that. All right, so it's going to have a type, and the type will be basically google.maps.map, okay, or null. And then I'm going to do null like that. So that's one thing. Then the other thing we need is we're going to have an autocomplete, right? So that we can show the suggestions. So I'm just going to get a hold, create a state for that. So it's going to be autocomplete. All right, so we have these two. Now we need to load the we need to load the maps, right? The libraries, the different libraries. So before we do that, if I come over here and if I go to env.local, so if you don't have this file, go ahead and create it. I'm going to click it, and in this one I have basically added the next_public_maps API key. You want to add the next_public, otherwise you will not be able to access this on the front end. So just want to make sure you get that out of the way. You might have to restart the project once you add this. Anyways, so I'm going to minimize this, minimize this. All right, so what we can do is we can then say const is loaded, right? So this will tell us if the APIs have been loaded or not. And for this, we will use this use.js, okay, API loader. Now it's not going to bring it on its own. So what you would have to do is you would have to do it here. So I'm going to do import. All right, so basically you're just calling it, and in the constructor you can pass, I'll say first of all Google Maps API key. Of course, that's the main thing. So I'm going to pass in this through the process.env.next_public. So this is the same token that you use in that env file, and it's going to be a string. Okay, and then we're going to basically give it now another thing. It's called libraries, right? So what kind of libraries are we actually loading? Now you can put the libraries here in an array, but I guess a better way of doing this would be like this. You're going to just create a constant. I'm going to call it libs, and then it's going to be of type library. Okay, it's coming from the JS API loader. It's going to be an array like that, and then what we can do then is start adding the different libraries. So I'm going to import the core. I want the maps. I want the places. So this will help us with the places search, and then I want to do a marker. Okay, because this will help us place a marker. Now this is an array, and I'm making an object. It's a silly mistake. Anyways, so there you go. So now that we have that, then I can come here and I can say libs. All right, so then after that, what I need is I need a reference to the map so that we can show it on the right here. Okay, so what I can do, I can say map ref. Okay, and then you can see use ref from React. We can use that, and it's going to be an HTML div element. So I did this in the tutorial that I mentioned at the beginning of this video. There's nothing different here. Now we also need one for the places. So I'll say place autocomplete ref, and it's going to be use ref. Now this one is an input element. So I'm going to do input element and null like that. Cool. With this out of the way, I think it's better to show a map because we've been coding for a while, so I'd like to see a map at this point. So let's start and do a use effect hook like so. All right, and then what we wanna when we want this to load, well, when we want this loaded, so we can say when we have the loaded thing change, and then here we will do is loaded, then we can say do something. Okay, so let's do this. So to show the map, one thing I will do is I will come here and I will add a div. But actually the way I will do this is like this. If is loaded, okay, then we're gonna show it. So I will come here and I will say div, and let's just give it a style, and I'll do height of let's say 600 pixel, and ref will be map ref. Okay, and then otherwise if it's not loaded, then we just say loading like that. All right, so this will be good because I think in the previous thing we were just loading it right away. So in case somebody's on a slow network, it'll be a bigger problem. But now we wait until it's loaded, so that's a good thing. So I'm going to save on this, and as you can see, there was that loading thing that popped up. Anyway, so now what we can do now is come here. We're going to define the map option. So I'm going to do map options. Okay, and then we want to center it somewhere. Okay, so the center will be lat. Okay, and we'll say lat long dot coordinates. Okay, so this is the same as in the previous tutorial. As you can see, I'm passing it right here to the function lat long. All right, and then the longitude will be lat long dot coordinates, and this will be 1 like that. All right, and then what I will do is I'll set a zoom level. I'll set it to 17, and let's give it a map ID, and we'll just do my map 1 2 3 4 like that. So this is our map options. Then what we can do is we can set up the map, and the way we're going to do this, we're going to say const Google map is equal to, so you're going to do new Google dot maps dot map like that. So here's the map class, and we're going to call it, and what we pass to it is, well, I think I should bring this on the next line so we can see. So you want to give it the where it's going to get, basically the map is going to render, right? So we can do map ref dot current. Other way of doing this would be that you can give the element an ID, and then you can pass that here. And then we're going to do as HTML div element, let me see, like that. Okay, and then we're also going to give it the map options. Cool. All right, so let's see if I say now, and there. So we can already see that just by doing this, the map is showing. Why? Because we have the coordinates that are being passed, and then we have the elements, so things are looking already good. Cool. Now we need to save this reference somewhere. So I'm just gonna come to the next line, and then I can do set map to gmap, because we would need this later on when we do the marker and all that. So we're gonna just basically come here and have this reference right here. Okay, I'm gonna save it. Let's make sure there are no errors. I'm gonna inspect console, and let's see, console. Let's just refresh. Cool, so no errors, which is good. All right, so that's awesome. All right, so now we need to set the autocomplete. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna say set up autocomplete. Okay, and the way we do this, we'll say const g autocomplete is equal to new google.maps.places, like that, and then we're gonna do autocomplete. Okay, I'm gonna bring this on a new line so we can see what's going on. Okay, so it's going to be the same thing, place autocomplete ref.current as HTML input element. Okay, so there you go. So that's your autocomplete. And now what we can do is we can then come here and I can do set autocomplete to g autocomplete, like that. But how can we see the autocomplete, like the bar at the top, the input bar? So the way we can do this is I'm thinking we can come here and maybe just add it here. So I can do input. So this input is coming from ShatCN UI input, like that. And then I'm going to do a ref. All right, ref. It's going to be g auto complete. Let's see why. Sorry, place autocomplete ref, like that. Okay, and let me save it. And as you can see, that is coming, the autocomplete. And if I type in address, of course, nothing is happening at this point. I'm going to refresh. Okay, so now the map is coming, and this is, so now let's say Niagara Falls. There you go. So already we are getting, just with honestly little code, we are getting a nice suggestions address. So one problem that I see here is, you can see it's saying Niagara Falls, Ontario, but then also Niagara Falls, New York. And so this is what I was talking about, that let's say we want to just limit this search to Canada, Ontario, right? So then, or New York. We don't want to see all these because you're going to get billed, I guess, for these searches. So there's a way that we can limit this, and I'm going to show you guys how we can do this. So I'm going to get out of this. And the other thing is, like, for example, if I do CN Tower, as you can see, it's going to like Edmonton, but if someone's in Ontario, they don't want to necessarily see that. So that's one thing. Number two we need to do is, when I click on, let's say something, this one, I want the map to fly over to that location and center on it. And I also want to show a pin with the name of the place, right? So we want to show that. So let's get started with first limiting the location first, the geographic location, and then we're gonna worry about how we can do the pin and all that. All right, so we're gonna come here, and maybe right before this, what I can do is I can say const. So first let's add a thing, and we'll say limit the place bounds. Okay, so I can do const. So let's say I'm going to do Ontario. You can do for your wherever you are, let's say New York or some other place. So I'm going to do new google.maps. All right, so this one, this is where you're gonna do lat long bounds. Okay, like that. So you're gonna do the lat long bounds, and then the way it works is you basically do new Google. So these are the southwest coordinates. So let's say this is your map. This is the north, this is the south, this is the east, this is the west. All right, so you're gonna start from the southwest, right here, this corner, and then the northeast, which is this corner. So it's basically, what it does is it will draw like a rectangle. That's all you're trying to do here. So, and the way you get these is you can just go to like Google Maps, for example. Let's say I go to Google Maps New York. All right, so I'm here. I'm going to expand this. I just want to show you guys how you would do this. Let's say you're doing this for a client. So let's say right, this is, let's say, New York, right? All right, so how do you do this then, the limiting? So you see it will draw a boundary for you, right? So I think these dotted lines are like a boundary. So then, so this is north, this is south, so this is east, this is west. So you're gonna do southwest. So you're gonna take the southwestmost corner from here to the northeast, which is the top right, and it's gonna basically draw like a nice rectangle, and that's how you're gonna limit your bounds. So I'm gonna close this. We don't need that. Anyway, so that's how I got these my bounds. So I'm gonna do maps that lat long, okay, and then you want to give it the lat. Right, so I'm not gonna type these because I have them. These are just numbers. So I'm gonna come here and I'll say this. So that's my southwest, okay, and then I need the northeast. So same way, I'm just gonna come here and I'm gonna do northeast. So there you go. These are my bounds. Okay, so I got the bounds. Now I'm gonna save it. Now one thing that happens is when you do this autocomplete, it's going to return a lot of fields, right? So for example, if I come here, I say Google places API fields. All right, so here fields. So if you come here, it actually, here we go. So it will return all these fields, as you can see: address, components, background, icon, opening hours, and a lot. So depending on what you want, so let's say you're building an app that is about the hours and reviews, so definitely you need those, right? See, serve beer, like there's a whole bunch of fields. Now one thing I will tell you is this will cost you if you get all these fields, and honestly you don't need all these fields. So there's a way that you can actually restrict this, and let's see how we can do that. So I'm gonna come back here, and as you can see where we did this autocomplete, and this is where we can now start playing with this. So you're gonna open this, right? So the first thing I'll do is I'll say bounds, and I'm gonna do Ontario bounds. That's my bounds, okay? Then I'm gonna specify the fields that I need. I don't need all the fields. I just need the formatted, let me do the formatted address. Okay, I need that. I need the geometry. Now the geometry is actually the lat long, and that's what you pass to the map to place a marker. And then I need a name for this, right? So we can display it on a card. And then also component restrictions, okay? Under this, then you have a country field, and I'm going to limit this to Canada only, so we don't get the New York or all that. So let's save it. So now if you remember before, if I do Niagara, so you see how it's showing New York, but now I'm going to refresh. We're going to come back here and now watch. If I do Niagara, as you can see, I'm not getting New York anymore. It's basically just limiting to Ontario. And that's what I was talking about. Now you're just focusing on that region, and it's going to save you a whole bunch of bandwidth and money and blah, blah, blah. All right, so now that I have that, and then what we can do now is, as I said, when I select a place on the map, I want it to jump to that location. So let's first display the name here so that we can see it. And for that, I will come, I can just come here and I can say const, I can say place selected place, like that, use state. Okay, and let's just set it to null. Okay, and we'll just give it a type just to be nice. So it's gonna be a string or nothing, like so. And then over here, then I can do a label. Okay, and then in here I can just put the place like that. So if I save, now it's not going to show anything because we haven't done the deed yet. So there's something what you can do is call these basically this autocomplete has a listener, so you can listen for events. All right, so what I can do is I can minimize this because we're done with this. But what we will do is I'm going to use another hook. That's when this effect is going to get fired. So let's just make sure we have a reference to the autocomplete. Okay, once we have that, then what you can do is you can say autocomplete.add listener. Okay, so there's different kind of listeners. The one I'm interested in is place changed. Okay, and then this is the callback function. Now, how did I find this? Well, just reading documentation, honestly. That's how you're going to get it. So what I can do is I can say const place is equal to autocomplete dot get place. So you can get bounds, fields, but I'm just going to get the place. Right, and just for starters, let's just do console log place. Let's just spit it out and see what the heck is going on. All right, so I have console. I'm going to refresh this. And let's say I'm going to do Niagara Falls. Boom, there you go. So remember here how we limited it to only the address, the geometry, and the name. Well, there you have it. We only got 3 fields. So this is going to definitely save us on the bandwidth and the billing. Cool. So now that we have that, so I'm going to close that. And then what we can do is I'm going to minimize this, just that effect. And then what we can do is we can basically say set place selected. What was it? Place. Forgot what we called it. Selected. Actually, it should be set selected. Okay. So let's just get the naming right. This should be selected place. Okay. Yeah. So set selected place, and then what I need to do is I think I need to fix this, and then here I'm gonna do set selected place. All right. So what do we say? We say place, and I'm gonna do formatted address. Okay. And let's just do string. Cool. So now if I come here and I say Niagara, boom, Niagara Falls is coming here. That's so cool. All right, so that's the address coming up. Let's just do something else. CN Tower. Cool, so you get the full address, CN Tower. That's coming up. That's the formatted address. All right, I'm going to come here. Now we need to get the position, so I'm going to do const position. And where does that come from? That's from the place.geometry. Okay, and then that's going to be the location. So that's coming from here. Now, if we have a position, okay, then we need to place a marker. Okay, and then how do we do that? Well, we need to create a function for it. All right, so I'm going to come here and we're going to create a function. Let's just call it set marker. All right, and that's going to be at a location, which is of type google.maps.lat-long, okay, and then name. Whoops. Like that. All right, so let's be safe, and what we can do is, let's say for some reason the map is not initialized, then just return there's no point. Otherwise, what we can do is map.setCenter. Okay, set center, and then what we can do is we can say location, like that. Okay, and then const marker. Okay, new google.maps.marker. Okay, this one, and we're going to do advanced marker element, like that. Now it's attached to which map? Well, the map that we have. Where do we want to place the marker? Position. Okay, I'm going to do location, and then what's the title? Okay, and I'm just going to say marker, like that. All right, so let's save this and let's refresh. I'm going to come here. So here I am where am I? So this is looks like, yeah, CN Tower. But let's jump to somewhere else. So I'm going to do Niagara Falls. Okay, and it looks like it did jump. So if I just oh no, actually it didn't jump. As you can see, we're still at CN Tower. Okay, let's try something Eaton Center. All right, so it looks like the map is not jumping. Oh, I know why. We're not calling the function. So I'm going to do set marker, and we're going to do add position, and then we need the name. So that's going to be place dot name. Okay, and let's just do this. Cool. All right, so let's try this again. So I'm going to do Niagara Falls. Okay, I think I need to refresh. Okay, Niagara Falls. Aha, there you go. So it jumped. So if I zoom out, there you go. We're in Niagara Falls. So let's jump to Eaton Center, Yonge Street. Boop. There you go. We're on Eaton Center. If I zoom in, that's Eaton Center. So cool. So this is working. Then we can also show a card. So that's going to display the name of the place. And for that, we will need the info card thingy. So we did that in the previous tutorial, but anyways, we'll do it here. So I'm going to do info. For the content, this one, I'm just going to use from my previous example. Basically what it is it's a div, and the class is this class, and this the title and the body. So I'm going to copy this, and what we can do is come here, and I can just pass in the name for title and the body like that. So I'm going to save that. And finally, you want to show the card. Okay, and the map is map, and anchor is the marker. All right, cool. So let's refresh, and let's do Niagara Falls. How cool is that? We're showing Niagara Falls. So and then here's the, you can put whatever, like their phone number and reviews, and actually you can get photos as well. So you can do a lot, pretty much too much with this. Now one thing is, you can see the title is bold. As you can see, we have the map info card, and the way it works is you can then in your global dot, if I can find the CSS file, I have added this, and that's what's showing like that. So just to prove my point, I can, for example, do color, and I don't know, let me just do blue. Okay, and there you go. So the color change, just to show you that it's there. All right, so I guess let's recap what we covered. So we covered how we can do Google Maps. This kind of different way of doing it than my previous tutorial, and then you also learn how we can do the autocomplete. Then we learn how we can get the enable the Places API and the new Places API, get the API key, and we talked about the security of the API key. And then we talked about how we can do a search, how to have the map point to the location of where we want it, how to do a listener when the place is changed, and also how to load the maps. Okay, so this will be used in the project that I'm working on. I'm still actually doing this. It's coming up, and it's gonna be a pretty in-depth and intense project. So I hope you guys stay tuned for it. As you can see, it's by the way responsive as well. So yeah, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next tutorial.